Hey, what's up? Terp Labs, that's something I'm part of and probably haven't talked about in a while. Terp Labs, for context, is basically a student organization that kind of revamps the student app ecosystem for UMD. So, last semester in the spring, they had a really successful app for grading or helping teachers and students with assignments. And now they're trying to really expand those efforts to more sectors. So, the team I'm a project manager of is Terp Meals, and we're really looking to revamp the whole meal ecosystem and how that even works in general. So from stuff like finding what's going like which dining campus you want to go to, trying to figure out a meal planning system, stuff like that. That's what we're trying to do. So it's really exciting. It's a really cool project. I'm really excited with my team because they're really amazing. That being said, I did kind of just bomb a meeting. I remember I had a meeting at 5 and it was post midterm because I studied I basically crammed study for my midterm to like 5 a.m. and then slept for like 2 3 hours. Then I woke up before at 7 to take the midterm at 9. And after I got back, woke up and I had to do the meet. I had to do like a general meeting. I feel like I didn't do that well. And honestly, it's just one of those things in life where like not everything can go as you want it to go. But this time I think was really this time even I think what I should really have done is that even though I knew I couldn't change how much I was going to study for that midterm, 2 to 3 days prior, I do think if I came up with a plan ahead of time, it would have been easier to have a much smoother meeting. The meeting encompassed all the agenda items, but I think it could be much better. It was also our first online meeting, so I feel like a lot of the conversations were a bit one-sided, whereas in person it's much more dynamic. Where it's like, oh hey, what's this idea? Then someone shares this and someone shares that. So um I think that's something we're definitely exploring. I think it's something I have to also try and make sure I take note of. 'Cause I know for the in-person one there was a much more deliberate effort among my coworker my fellow project manager and I to make sure the social the social dynamic was there and it was easier to converse. Whereas with online, I think since I was nervous and thrown off by my lack of preparation, I didn't do that. I just jumped straight into the agenda of the day. I don't think that was the approach I should have taken. Um, Also, in addition to that, I think just having general plans like that I can pick up, no matter how prepped I am, will also be a really good idea. Because I notice a lot of times I have my schedule thrown off by something, whether it's my fault or some other thing or some external factor. So just having stuff where I can just like go into, let's say I'm doing Duke Quantum, we have meetings Friday, and maybe my mind is on Duke Quantum for the week. I should be more I should document more of my work so I can just say, okay, um 2 hours before the meeting, I can just catch up on everything I've been doing with Duke Quantum. So like here are the resource papers I'm looking into. Here's the summary. Here's the direction I have to go in, and that's what I kind of want to do for the different orgs that I'm a part of. Because there's a lot of stuff, and my head is in a lot of different headspaces at sometimes. So it's hard to like transition from one to the other, right? So I think I really had to be more deliberate about that building that mental ecosystem. I know for triple Labs we have Coda, which is really cool because it's basically just like a whole management software for our team and for general teams in triple Labs. So I think that's gonna be really cool to use, and it does make it much easier. I also used it before, so I think if I used it before the meeting, that would have helped. So I'm definitely gonna be using that. And I think it's also really exciting because I know I've tried to push some software management systems for other teams I worked on. So I remember a couple years back, I used to be on this animation studio thing, and I really wanted to have like a general software management tool, but never really got accepted. People didn't use it as much. I know for other teams, I've tried that with whether it be African Student Association or dorm residence life and stuff like that. So really excited to actually have that for once and see how it works. Um, but yeah, I think the TLDR of it, and I just said a couple seconds ago, but really just building a better mental ecosystem so I can pop in and pop out of different orgs and work projects much faster, and then just being more prepared, like taking note of small things. 'Cause I think sometimes I try and move like if I'm nervous, especially when speaking, I move too fast and focus. I forget the small things. For example, if I'm having an interaction where it's like a professional interaction, sometimes I forget to say how you doing. I just jump like, oh, I hope you're doing well, blah blah blah. Right, but a lot of times, especially when this is my internship, you have to kind of do those. It's just not. It's the right way to do it. I can't explain why. It's just the right way. I remember I had my mentor for my internship, and he was so like he's the best. I love him so much. I had my mentor, and then every time like I'll get like if I was messing something up on a project, I'll say, "Hey, I hope you're doing well, blah 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 blah," and they say, "Oh," then he would even respond to that thing at first. He'll say, "Hey, I hope you," he'll say, "How are you doing?" and stuff like that. So I started to imitate him more and just like try and do that no matter what the situation is. So I think that same philosophy applies here. So like even though I wasn't the most prepared, I think if I took a step back and said, okay, regardless of the situation, I have to perform. So I think I could have made the meeting much smoother. I don't want it to come off as the meeting was bad. The meeting was good. All agenda items, like I said, were completed. I just wasn't up to my standard. Um, but yeah, also before I end, kind of just build off the ecosystem thing I was thinking about it was even with coding projects, I think that's something I really struggle with. Because let's say I have like three big code bases I'm working on, right? It's sometimes it's confusing to come back to a different code base, like, oh, what's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on here? So I think Copilot's been really helpful. I just don't like the user interface of Copilot. So maybe that's something I could also look into, or just maybe that's something where after every sprint or coding session, I can just write up a quick draft and say, here's what I've done. I guess that's kind of like the whole purpose of Git and Git push and all that, but I don't use it. Um, I could just have a quick document saying like, here's what I've done, here's what's left to do and stuff like that. Because I know like especially for Crowdflow, sometimes I won't work in like if I don't work on Crowd for like 3 days, I forget what I was doing last time, and then the stuff I was like the stuff I was aiming to do next. And then when I figure the stuff I'm aiming to do next, I end up repeating the same process. So it's like I just had the same workflow. Just I had the same. I just repeated the same thing I did 3 days ago, and it's really inefficient. So I have to look into that. But besides that, I have nothing else to say. So have a great day.